Gay.
How you doing, babe?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good to see your smiling face again. It's been a while, right? We've both been incredibly busy, so...
Yeah. All good in the hood. I mean, you know, I actually get more smiley when I see you and we do these chats because they're so much fun.
Hey, likewise. We should say hi to everyone before we get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Hi, everyone. It's a chat with me and Debs again. Today, we're going to be talking about something quite interesting, actually, aren't we, Debs?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about elders and how important our elders are. The heads of the village, as they were once upon a time.
The wise ones that
hold our human story. And I think it's really, really important. If there's no elders in my family anymore, me and my sibling, we're the elders now. So I remember really taking a lot of information from my elders, and I you know, like kids are, right? I was kind of like, what are they going on about? When my uncle used to say things like 40 thieves at the top. Deborah, there's 40 thieves at the top, and it's never, you know, it's never going to change, or it's always been the same, or something like that. He'd say, and I'd be like, what's this dude talking about? 40 thieves at the top. But hey, you know, now wow. We've kind of got loads of different information. Yeah, he was right. It's definitely 40 thieves at the top that have tried to suppress us and hold us down as human beings, you know?
Yeah, and also it's just knowing that what they're saying comes from their life experience. Sometimes we have this thing that, you know, young people tend to maybe not respect people who are of an older age as much as they should, you know. I actually find a connection. I have a great connection with elder people. I love hanging out with them. I love listening to their stories, and I just I kind of just go into the imagination, and I kind of just imagine them as they're telling me the story. And when I was little, I used to have this old lady I used to go and visit, and I used to look after her because she couldn't walk, and she used to tell me all these stories about the village, you know, and how things used to be. And, you know, back when Franco was there, the things she wasn't allowed to do. And it would be like, wow.
Oh, see, you know, and the thing is that a lot of people rely on Google for their history now, but, you know, like, whatever, you know, we know that books have been burnt. That's something that our history holds. So certain books that tell us, give us the true knowledge, perhaps they no longer exist, you know, and Google, we can't rely on Google. Google's censored. We know this now, right? That Google is heavily censored, and it's going to give you the information that it wants you to have, or it will give you the information, but it will put a twist on it, right? Like the words conspiracy theorist, yeah, that's been sort of floating around a lot over the last couple of years. But when you're hearing what the elders say, you can guarantee that that's true. Yeah, so it really does give the true human story, which I think is really, really important for us to receive, because it's knowledge, and knowledge is power, right? And also these people that have lived before us, don't think for 1 minute that they haven't had their scene, you know, of dancing around and being young and vibrant, and, you know, having naughty moments, you know, like they have lived. So I think it's very important to take on board what elders have to say in all sorts of situations, whether it be handing down herbal remedies for such and such, Like I used to get shots of cod liver oil when it was vile stuff, absolutely hideous. But there was a reason for it, you know, because it keeps your joints supple. So they have the knowledge. They have the knowledge, and it's really important that we listen and continue to carry the baton, if you like, of the human story.
Yeah, it's like the shamans, you know, all the shamans
Yeah.
and the, you know, our ancestors, and how they speak about how they used to do things, you know. And actually it's funny, but you know, in the past, I think people used to dance much more. Like our grandparents and the grandmothers probably used to go out and dance much more than we do. Like we just go to the cinema, or we'll sit down and go online, or, you know, have, you know, get carried away with something easier to do, not so much dancing. A lot of us do dance, but it's only, you'd only go out and dance now and then. But in those days, that, you know, when the hardly people would not watch TV, that's what they would do. They would go dancing and they'd have life experiences.
Well, yeah, my mum was into ballroom dancing, so she was very much into sort of going out and dancing, and sort of it was an occasion, I'm sure, for her, you know. Yeah, it's I just think that it's how the system has orchestrated how we treat the elderly, right? Because if you speak to some young people that are like 20s, in their 20s, they think they're old. That's bizarre. Your life hasn't even begun. How can you think that you're old at the age of 20? You know,
that is bizarre.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't know whether that's the case there where you are, but it definitely it is here in London. You know, kids that are going out and you know, having fun think that they're old at 20 something, or 30. They think they're ancient. I don't get it. I think it's quite bizarre, because you've got a whole life ahead of you. And I actually believe that the age that we are passing at, like the whatever the statistics are, I think it's what guys are sort of in their 80s, and or maybe it's ladies that are in their 80s and guys in their 70s, because I know that they think women live longer than men, or they say that women live longer than men. A lot of knowledge going around at the moment to suggest that if we wasn't bombarded by things being sprayed over us, crap going into the water and the food, right, and all these lifestyle changes that have happened quite drastically, especially over the last 20 or 30 years, we'd be living a lot longer, I think. Yeah. Well, perhaps like industry, like, because things like coal and stuff didn't really do the human race any favors either. But if you look at like Chinese people, even African people in the villages, they lived, you know, past 100. So we could all do that if we are working on ourselves and living in the correct environment, living the correct nutritional way that a human should, because I think a lot of knowledge has been suppressed from us.
Yeah. But what you were saying, when you mentioned that the system has kind of turned things, not so much so the 20-year-old, but going back to what you're saying now, the fact that nutrition has kind of disappeared, you know, because I think, I don't know whether it was before the First World War or after, I don't know, I can't remember. I think it was before the First World War. I do know that the current big pharma did not exist. When was it created? Something like that, around that time, because they were using Tesla technology. They were using technology to heal people. It was hidden away, this information, but if not, they'd have some sort of remedy, like the Africans or the Indians or, you know, whatever, they have some sort of remedy. Or even in my village here in Spain, in Mallorca, the old lady would say, right, just have a good old soup, you know, bit of onion or a bit of this, or have a little bit of, you know, oregano or whatever you needed to do to solve the situation, like you do, you know. You always have these different things. So we would have those different things that they would apply. However, I think the system came in, Big Pharma came in, and it all seemed like it was this new thing, and it was great because we had medicine that was invented. And this is where it turned, okay, babe? So I wanted to say a lot of our elder people, or, you know, maybe your mom or your dad used to feed you the right things, but some parents didn't do that, or some didn't, because they were following now the new system, the new way of doing things, where on television in the 50s, you would have information on, you know, this is bad for you, this is good for you, you know, so people would really connect to their TV when the TV also came about. So that's when they started being mind controlled. And when they started coming away from understanding that the old recipes and the old ways of doing things were okay, that's when all of that would get suppressed in some way, no? When Big Pharma came in, the TV came in, and like, I mean, and so a lot of people, elder people may still have the remedies, you know, but for example, my dad, he was in the Air Force. This is going to a completely different thing, but he was in the Air Force, and he was in the Second World War at the end. You know, he when he was a child, he felt all of that. He was in London, and he moved to France, and then he joined the Air Force. But he's a great believer in everything that happened in the First World War, the Second World War, and they're very respectful and very honoring to you know, to the military and to everything that happened and everything they had to go through, you know. So in some way, there's a lot of things that people are waking up to now that, you know, some things they can understand and some things that are still very difficult to understand, even for our elders, not just for us, you know, actually understanding how the system actually works, because the system has had us so entwined and so programmed, and there's so much behind it that it's very difficult for someone of an older age to actually comprehend the immensity of the lie, you know, the immensity of how the system has been built and how it's all been turned around, and how they were in some way lied to. They were lied to, you know, because anyway, that's just another story, but it's also very, but what I love about elder people is that they are so, you know, every year they wear their poppy, and every year they're so proud of what they did. And they did it. They fought, which is something that us in this third world war that we have been living, because we have been living a third world war, you know, it's a spiritual warfare, but it's a biological disinformation, psychological warfare. It's disinformation. That is how they are maneuvering. This is how they have been taking those steps to get us to where we are now.
And it hasn't been bullets. It hasn't been bullets.
Yeah, exactly. It's not bombs. It hasn't been guns. It hasn't been sending you away from your home to go to war. No. You know, it's basically
keeping you in your home. Keeping you in your home.
Convincing you with mind control that if you don't do this, you're going to hurt your family member, and then boom, we've just done it. So, you know, it's just been a totally different warfare, a totally different war zone, where our elders, many of them, have not quite grasped or even understood or even believed that it would be possible that this could happen again, because from the start they were unaware that perhaps the whole of the First World War and the Second World War was actually made by design to create the European Union. So it's kind of like it's too hard for them to grasp. But what I do want to say is that through this COVID, there's a lot of elders that have really suffered. Totally. And I think they have totally woken up. Don't you think that they've woken up a little bit to, like,
you know, something, some yes, some have, yeah. have my friend Vonda that I'm going to see later. She was 68 at the beginning. I think she's 69 now, but don't quote me on that. But she's approaching 70, yeah. And I remember going to Waitrose and meeting her at Waitrose. It's actually where we met, having a coffee, right? Because she's local. And she went to put her mask, and she was like, "Are you not going to put a mask on to go into the supermarket?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not, Vonda." And I said it with such confidence, yeah. And the next time we went to the shop, she didn't put her mask on either. And I think that that's really made her strong mentally as well as physically, because we know what wearing a mask 24/7 each time you go to the bloody shop, it's just ridiculous. And I feel so heartbroken to see some of these old people still wearing a mask because they think they're doing the right thing. And as you say, they have this sense of honor almost to the government and the medical system, and it's kind of like, "Oh, the doctor said," you know, and it's kind of how they've been raised, and they feel that these people are here to help, you know, and not hinder, which is really sad. Over the whole COVID period, there was old people that I didn't see because I didn't want to be responsible for making the meal. And I've spoken to, I call her Auntie Karen, but she's not my auntie. She's just known me since I was a teenager, and she's my friend's aunt. And I've spoken to her since, and I said, "Did it help me not coming in? Because I actually thought I was doing good." She's like, "No," because she's actually quite housebound now, because she kind of didn't go out, because it freaked her out, you know. It freaked her out. She had one jib jab. I won't say the full word, but she had one jib jab, and I managed to sort of educate her, and she was like, "Well, she hasn't had another, and I hope it stays that way," you know. But yeah, they really went through it. They really did go through it because they thought they were doing the right thing. And of course, as a younger person, I felt I was doing the right thing by not seeing them. But that human contact was massive. It's massive for old people. It's like how we live as a society also is really, it's so geared to isolate older people. This is why in London, I just make the effort to say hello to them and give them a smile, because I could be the only person that's done that in the day. I don't know their scenario, you know. But it's important to uphold them and make them feel safe that they're walking from their house to the shop, and that someone cares to offer to carry their bag for them. That's how it should be, you know, because what we fail to realize and remember is that without these people that are now old people, we would not be here. And it's not about, because, well, they're not my mum or they're not my dad. No, it's not about that. It's about these humans survived that scenario of life, and they enabled the next generation to come through. So we should give thanks to them. And also, what people fail to realize is that that is where everybody is going, whether you've just been born, whether you're 2 years of age, whether you're 6, whether you're 27, whether you're 30 something, whether you're 40 something, whether you're 50 something, and so on and so forth. That is where you're going, if you're lucky, because some people don't make it that far. But if you're lucky, that's where you're going. So why would you not want to uphold the elders that have the story, that have actually laid a path for us? And they've taken on like a part of life that has made it just so much more easier for us. And it keeps, if you look at like millennials, gosh, all right, like for them to actually get out and do some work is really difficult for them, because we've made it that much easy for them, right? So they feel this sense of self-entitlement because of how easy we've made it for them. Do you get where I'm coming from? So we kind of hand the baton, we hand the baton each time we get to a next stage of life. So yeah, I just think we kind of need to wisen up as to how we treat our elders, because that's the general direction we're all going.
Yeah, it's like what you said about the mask. Like here, it was the same thing. So in the summer, it would be like 30 degrees. Actually, it was like 42 degrees at some point. It was just so hot. And these people were literally walking in the field in the middle of a country lane with the mask on. It's just like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would stop and I'd say, there's nobody around. You can take it off. You know, why don't you just take it off? And they're like, oh, might just do that, you know. You know, but they'd just be like, well, I just saw on the news, you know, just saw. I was like, just don't switch the telly on. Don't switch the telly on. Trust me. Don't switch the telly on. You can't live with fear. Just breathe the air that you have here. You're fine. You're safe. But they have to have that kind of someone tell them that it's okay, you know, because in their mind, you know, they need to be good because it's their belief system. It's everyone's belief system. But the elders had this very strict thing that they needed to follow authority. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They never got to be wild like maybe we were in the 90s or in the 60s, or, you know.
I don't know about that, babe. Don't
no, but I mean, like, okay, so maybe the older people here, because Franco was here. I'm thinking about them.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So with the Spanish, I mean, every culture is different. Don't get me wrong. But like for here, it was like, you know, the belief system, it was very strict, very, you know, you had to do the right thing or you get your finger chopped off, or, you know, like basically you had to do the right thing if the government said to do that. So, you know, they're literally kind of just scared. But unless you actually say it's okay, they might feel okay to do that. But I still see old ladies on the street with the masks on, and it has affected old people leaving their homes, because a lot of people don't leave their homes. A lot of people do not go out as much as they used to. In fact, we have like some summer festivals here and everyone goes out on the street to eat. Well, this year, after 2 years of not doing it, there was less people on the street, less tables. It's done it generally to people. Not everywhere in the world, maybe not in London. London is a very special place, but you know, like here in Spain, in a normal little country village, some people maybe don't put their chair out as much as they would before. It has shifted things a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but what were you saying before? I had something else I was going to say. I was going to
about it's where we're going. That's the direction we're all going to sort of an older age.
Yeah, so we're all going to the same place. Yeah, and it depends on the age. And oh my God, I had something. I can't remember what it was now. It'll come back.
You should have wrote a note. No.
It's all right. Yeah,
it'll come back.
Some stuff happening here.
So with going back to the whole COVID thing, we've said that quite a few times. I'll say it's the C word.
Beep.
Yeah. So boring, isn't it?
I think that's done now, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know because there's a couple of truthers that have been taken off. So
really? Well, good old Elon Musk has taken over Twitter now. It's not long.
Yeah, I know.
It's not long for all it to shift now.
But yeah, going back to the C era. What they were doing at the beginning of this absolute shit show was taking the elders out and the vulnerable out. And you've got the name of that drug that they was injecting them with, right?
I'm trying to find the name of it because it's really important. That's it.
Dazzalum. So basically,
Dazzalum or something like that. It's very important because, explain it, Debs.
Basically what they was doing was giving like 2.5 grams of an injection of this drug as opposed to one, and one should be the maximum that any one older person should receive, and they was giving 2.5. Now this is it actually promotes sleepiness and reduces anxiety, but can be used for euthanasia as well, right? So to get the numbers up for the statistics for the whole C situation, this is the drug they was using. And of course, a layman like myself or you, if we, not that we would necessarily look at our relatives chart of what they were giving them, right? You just think, shit, you know, you've watched the news, it's all over the news, the doctors are telling you, the nurses are telling you that that's what they've got. And so, you know, the nurses probably thought that that particular drug was helping the whole COVID situation. And that's how they were wiping them out. I mean,
yeah, but also they weren't able to have contact with their family members.
Exactly.
No one was allowed to enter. So no one could control what they were giving them. And obviously nurses, they come from the heart, right? You work as a nurse because you want to help people, right? Mm-hmm. It's a calling that you have. So, you know, a lot of them probably were unaware that this was happening. Some of them might have noticed something, but maybe they didn't say anything because they wanted to keep their jobs. We don't know. But what we do know is that this is a medicine that was been given to them instead of something to help them out. They were killing them. Yeah. This is what's been happening. It's crazy.
My theory on that, because it was the elders that suffered in the whole lockdown and the whole kind of wipeout, I think that they were targeted because they do have the human story. Yeah, because if you have recalled any of the early videos that we were watching as truthers, right, you had a couple of survivors from Auschwitz that were saying this is exactly how the Nazis started this crap in World War II. They had the story and they were sharing the story, right? That this is no different to how it started before. And it's just like, wow. Like, you know, as a truther, obviously I got it, but you know, you can just see that this is just what that's exactly that they were targeted. They were targeted by the power, well then I'll say the powers that be, because they no longer hold as much power as they did then, because they expected all of us to get that, and no, they expected all of us to do that and cut off our source, our connection to source. Our breath is our connection to source. Our breath and breathing is what keeps us alive. When you stop breathing, you are no longer here. You're going to the other side. You're going back home when you're no longer breathing. How dare they? How dare they? Right? And this is what they continue to do to old people, because some old people are still walking around with a mask on. Yeah. Still going for their third or their fourth boosters, you know, because they think that that's the right thing to do. God love them. But yeah, they were the targeted generation.
But also, but Debs, listen, so you know how we say that we talk about 3D and 5D, 4D. We talk about 3D where we live in a more dense kind of space, you know, it's like where the dramas are, it's like the Matrix, it's the TV, it's all the fear, you know. Mm-hmm. I do know that a lot of elder people are in that space. So when they're in that space watching TV and just every day looking for something to talk about or to listen to, they're in that fear state. I mean, I put the TV on 1 hour a day to look at the news and I'm freaking out. No, seriously, because I just like to listen to, you know, I'm open. I'm open to listening to stuff. Obviously, I know that what they're saying is not always true, but you know, I can understand why they would be traumatized. I can understand. why they would be, why they are actually traumatized, and they're just doing as they're told, because if it's not one thing, it's another thing, you know. And it's just like, it's normal that they're in that state. But what I'm saying is that some people, some elder people are in that state, but also, as you're saying, some elder people are speaking their history, because they're still reading books. They're very active, you know, they're still reading in the history, or they still remember what they lived, and they're like, oh, hang on a minute. Or they've had a moment to step back and go, actually, this is exactly what happened in the Nazi times. You know, they're realizing, you know, that's so important that we got those messages from those elders. And this is exactly why the elite, the deep state, they don't want elders. They never did want the elders. The elders are not interesting to them. They can't, you know, that was in Agenda 21, it stated that they wanted to get rid of the elders. I mean, you can just see how they want to get rid of them with the system that they built. I mean, look at Google. I mean, to go to the doctor, you need to send a message on your text. Like you need to know how to use your QR, like your QR code. It's like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
A 91-year-old does not know how to use that. Like my dad has to ask me to go to his house to help him just to book an appointment.
Yeah.
So they don't make anything easy for them.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what I was coming to. You know when I forgot what I was going to say?
What?
I've got it. So this is what I was going to say. Yeah, instead of us youth looking at elders like, oh, not really including them in the system and this fast way of living that we've been living in for these last, as you said, 10 years, 20 years, you know, this kind of fast way of doing things, instead of, you know, not integrating them. And, you know, it's like we're giving away to the system. We're allowing the system to create a division between us and them.
Totally.
And that is where we need to put
100%.
a stop to that. And we need to respect them. Yes. And we need to honor them like they have honored the world we live in. You know, we need to honor that. We need to give them thanks. We need to be thankful for everything that they've done. And we need to hold their hand if they need that help. And just say it, you know, we don't, oh no, sorry, you've got to go to a care home. Or, oh no, sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah,
it's
even like, that, they like the whole system doesn't allow for us to live as a village anymore. They've separated us. Yeah, there's so many people. I think there's like I think it's like supported housing or a care home that's up the road, right? And incidentally, there's a couple of old people that I used to say hello to. One guy used to really dress really dapper, and I used to compliment him. I was like, you're making me feel underdressed, and I'm only going to Sainsbury's. It's like, me too. Yeah, I've not seen him. Seen him. So I think he's passed. Bless him. Yeah. Very sad. And there's a couple that I used to say hi to, and I've not him, and another lady that I used to say hi to, and I've not seen her either. So I think she must have passed. But the way that they have us living, like in supported housing and care homes, and it's like they've got us on this treadmill of work. So you can't give time to your elders. You can't give them time or space. God, because there's no space in your house. Your house costs a fortune and you've only got 2 rooms. Yeah. Or 3 or whatever. Yeah. And it's not how we should be living. I mean, I've had this conversation with my sister, you know, talk of, you know, what, you know, their will and, you know, what they're passing to me, and it's just like, oh God, I don't really want to think about that, but I guess we have to think about that. And I got me thinking, I actually don't want to live how we're living at the moment. We should have like a village where we can just enjoy our people, you know. It's like, have a society, have a community. What happened to that? You know, like, because we all learn at all different ages and stages of our life brings about different knowledge, you know. And I think it's really important, because also sitting with elders I find quite grounding, because it really slows my pace down. I then realize how much I run around when I'm with an elder, because I might just start charging up the road, but actually this person that I'm with that's 70 plus can't charge. So I have to slow my pace down, right? I have to slow down, and you see more when you slow down and not rushing around. I mean, I don't rush around as much as I used to, but I still get that I can move a lot faster and a lot quicker than an older person. Yeah, it just brings about a different pace of life, and it's really important to have, like it is important to be with young people and to watch them learn, and sort of doing colouring in or whatever it is that you're doing to bring out your own inner child. I think kids are really great for that, but also, you know, elders bring about a real grounding, and also they don't sweat the small stuff. It's just like, you know what, it's not really important. They kind of get it, they kind of, because they've been through life.
Yeah, this is how I kind of relate with older people, because it's the simplicity of life, right? And you become more of a child, and everything is exciting. Like, you know, you manage your day in a different way, because most elder people have pain. Like, the thing is, I suffered 10 years of chronic back pain, right? So I actually felt like an old lady.
Yeah.
I could not go out twice a day. I would go out maybe in the afternoon, or I got during the, yeah, I would, but maybe shopping. But like, I worked from home, and I was at home pretty much all the time. And, you know, going to Morrison's was like, it was exciting to me, you know.
Yeah.
I was also living in like a really east of London. I was living in Thames Mead. There's like nothing there. So it was just like, you know, the neck of the hoods, God knows where it was. But anyway, it was kind of like, I can connect to that, because when you're in pain, you're thankful for the most simplest things. You're thankful for someone to come and visit you. You're thankful for someone just calling you, just, you know, seeing if you're okay, or, you know, just the simplest things. Or, you know, I have little things that I still kept from when I had my body pain. They're tiny little things that really make me happy, like my mug. I think everyone has that, right? You have like little tiny things that make you happy. And just with those tiny things, you're happy. And that's what old people are like, you know. I think they do have those little things, those little customs that they have, those ways of doing things. And you learn from them, because yeah, you learn to have patience. And the whole fact of that whole village thing, the sense of being in a village, I'm feeling that now more than ever, because I went back to my village, and just being next to my mum and dad is great. And I see people in the village that I know that are looking after, they're actually looking after their parents. They're looking after their grandparents. You know, they share it between them, because they're all in a village. It works out, you know. So it's important to have that sense of village. In fact, yeah, I was telling you before that I've gone to the I've just went to the village, and I spoke to the 50 to 70s, because they have a group and they come together in the village and they do activities and yoga. And I've just offered my classes, because I went to the town hall and the mayor saw me, and he was like, oh, you know, you should call what's his face from the second year, you know, from the 70s, 50s, 60s to 80s. And then you should call the ones from 70s to 90s. So there's two different groups, you know, 50s to 70s, 70s to 90s, or to 80s, whatever. And so I'm meeting them tomorrow to speak to them about doing vital dancer, vital development. And I would love to get them dancing and
that would really suit you as well.
Oh, but I love being with old people. I love it. I love it. So it's a little thing that I want to do for my community. And I think it's a great place to start, you know.
It's a shame that we don't actually give our elders as much of a platform as they deserve, because it's kind of like, you know, they have a lot of struggles at the moment with the whole energy bill crisis that's going on. Everyone's fretting about it. There's the saying that the old people are stating whether they should eat or heat. And I think that for old people that have actually paid their taxes, paid their dues, you know, they've ticked all the boxes, done all the right things, and now they're kind of in a situation where they have to decide whether they should heat their house or eat food, is it's just disgusting. I you know, I think I'd be happy to pay tax if elders were able to live freely, you know, and if they were able to just not pay for their heating and not pay for their food even. Why should they? I don't think they should have any money worries when you get to a certain age. I just don't think you should. I think we all pay enough into the system for it to support us in our hour of need. It's a really sad affair that older people are having to think about how they're going to heat their home. I just think it's a human right to have food and to have warm home, a roof over your head, a comfortable bed to sleep in. It's a human right, so we should honor them with that right.
But no, I think it's crazy. It's crazy that so many, you know, that a few have so much money, you know, and then, you know, the rest of us, the people, the slaves, if you will, have nothing. We have to basically choose whether we want heating or whether we want to be, you know, feeding ourselves. It's really quite ridiculous.
Disgusting. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. People of a particular age shouldn't be. I mean, that's so stressful. I can't imagine. You know, like I'm 51 now, right? And I've had a good few knocks in my life, and I'm sure there's more to come. And I think that's kind of where the elders are, and that's why they have the life experience. That's why they have the knowledge. That's why they have the human story, because they've lived through it. They've lived through all those knocks, and they've dusted themselves off and got up so many times throughout their lifetime. You know, I just, yeah, you know, they should just be upheld, really.
Well, I just feel like it's the same thing over here, although there's a little bit more freedom for elder people because maybe it's the weather or I don't know, but they do have quite a lot of activities here, but more than before they didn't have so much stuff. I think they've taken it upon them to actually be a little bit more active and find out about what yoga is, or find out what this is, or, you know, they're willing to learn and they're willing to connect and integrate with this new world that we're living in, you know. But it is true that, you know, because of the COVID and because what has happened to us for the last, oops, I said it again.
That's all right.
Anyway, but because of what's happened to us in these last 2 years, I think people have realized that, yeah, it's no longer about the rat race. It's no longer about doing that. It's about slowing down and remembering about calling our grandmother or calling our granddad and making sure they're okay. I regret, because I had my mum's father was in England when I was in England, but I hardly ever lived in England, so I wasn't used to going to visit him. And I never did when I was in London. I went like twice because I was so caught up with making it in my career, and I wasn't thinking about them. I wasn't thinking about visiting him, and I regret that so much now. You know, so while they're still here in this plane, it is important to connect with them and find out their history, find out everything they did when they were younger. When I'm speaking to my dad, I still ask him loads of questions like, so how is that, Dad? And did you go to London? And did you go to parties and stuff like that? And what would happen? And like, you know, and it gives me all these, like, you know, fun stories that I never knew about him. Because the thing is, we think we know our parents, but we bloody well don't, you know. We need to, you need to like just have like a conversation like you know, don't know them from anywhere. You don't have any ties. There's no bad feelings, and just start from zero, you know, at a 0 point, and speak to them like they're a fresh being that you've never met. And it'd be quite amazing.
They're human.
Yeah, like a human. And it'd be quite amazing what you'll find out from them, you know, their stories. And they might even tell you some secrets that they've never told you. They've been too busy being your mum or your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
once they've gone, my darling, that conversation can't happen.
well,
it can happen a different way. They do come through to you on the ether, most definitely. They really do. But it's, you know, you can kind of be a bit more direct with your questions and get a direct answer whilst they're here.
The other thing I was going to mention, Debs, is that also we have a big issue with thinking that we're old, right? Which is kind of the other thing we were going to talk about, which is like, for me, am I shouting?
Not really, no.
So I got my headphones on, and they're studio headphones. I'm like, anyway, and I'm a bit deaf as well. But what I wanted, a little bit deaf as well.
Well for it.
Well, you know, there is no such thing as perfect, darling. But yeah, so what I was going to say is that age is just a number, right? Age is just a number, because I don't know, like in my case, I'm 45, but I feel like I'm 30 right now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 12.
I just feel really,
most days.
How old do you think you are?
12 most days. Like, when I'm skipping around in my living room, or, you know, sort of having a little, I
just feel so much. What it is, I think more than your age, you need to determine how light you feel, you know, how much stuff have you let go of, you know, how much burden have you let go of, you know, how agile is your body, how free are you, you know, how aligned are you communicating your truth? That's what makes you younger. That's what makes you younger, what makes you come back to life and makes you feel younger. Even your skin changes, obviously, if you're eating good foods and your mind is clearer and you're consciously living that life that we speak about all the time, which is all about 5G is where I want to be, because it's about ascending, it's about feeling lighter within your body. And when we ascend like that, we become lighter. If we eat lighter, we become lighter. If you start thinking lighter, or you release whatever no longer really is necessary for you to hold on to, that is something that also helps. And that is what shows your true age. I think time, as they say, doesn't exist. It's just a number. It's like, oh, when you're 40, you can't have any babies. Who said that?
Yeah.
Who said that? Yeah. Who said that? Who said that?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm 45 and I'm like, I don't want a baby, but, you know, like, I'm just having fun, you know, and I feel as free as a bird as a 30-year-old, or even like a freaking 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's nothing wrong with me. So, and it all depends on your state of mind, really.
Yeah. Definitely.
I think it's just a number.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. I don't intend to stop living life just yet. I think I'll stop living life when I draw my last breath. And that's that. That's written in the ether. Definitely. I think you can do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. There's always going to be a ton of people telling you why you shouldn't or why you can't and blah, blah, blah. Time for your headphones. Put on something that really does sing joy in your head and cut that sound out, because it's not serving you. You know?
Okay. So, so what you're saying, that is a constant job.
Oh, totally.
It just doesn't come that I feel like I'm 30, you know. It's hard, you know, as in the sense of like what comes to you and the things that are around you. Yeah, I can hold on to my mum saying, oh, shouldn't you be doing that instead of doing dancing? Or I can hold on to my daughter saying maybe something like, Mum, you're too old to do that, aren't you? Or I can hold on to, I don't know, like the other day, a friend of mine came to visit from the UK, and I was telling him about my Instagram, and that, you know, I was like, because sometimes I put things of me dancing and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, you know, I was in that kind of down feeling, and I was like, but then I see all these girls are like, you know, 25-year-old, and they have their Instagram videos and they're like, you know, dancing away. And I'm like, damn, I was comparing myself, which I shouldn't have done. And my friend was saying to me, don't compare yourself to them because
No.
you have, and then I was like, he put me on point. I was like, what? Okay, you're right. What am I doing? Why should I do that? I have a story to tell. The reason why I'm dancing like that, there's a reason behind why I am dancing like that, you know, happily, merrily within my inner child's all over the shop. There's a reason. It's because I've done the work. I'm not just showing the camera my butt, you know what I mean? Well, just a little bit.
Oh, you do make me laugh. But yeah, it's also about having gratitude, isn't it? Gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah, being grateful. That's one thing I learned when I had the body pain. Just being very grateful every night. Very grateful for what I had.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Anything else to add, my love?
I think that's it. Just age is not a number, and let's respect our elders and give them the love they deserve. And also, you know, very soon there are going to be a lot of truths coming out, and we're all going to be shocked by them. And our elders are going to need support too. So we just need to stand by them, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree there. I think they've been isolated quite a lot over the last couple of years. So I think it's really important to make conversation with them, smile if you don't know what to say, or you feel a bit awkward because like people in London just don't really know how to speak to one another, you know. But yeah, just make conversation with them, let them go in front of you in the queue, or just be kind to them, because one day that's going to be you.
Yeah,
exactly. True story.
All right, so you can find us at BellaEmotions on Telegram. You can find me doing dance stuff and, you know, showing my bits. I'm joking. That's not true. You can find me on Amazie_music on Telegram or Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, Amazie_music. If you want to follow me for online dance coming up. I also do pain body coaching. So if you have any pain, I can help you with that. And I do EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping. Over to you, Debs.
And you can find me at debbiegiles.com for quantum touch energy healing. And soon you'll be able to tap me for a level 1 quantum touch energy healing course. So I'm due to finish my course.
Woo!
The end of this year, which is amazing. Amazing, yeah.
So there you have it. If you want to come out of the job you're in, you want to go into healing, which is going to be super, super needed right now when the shit hits the fan, you know, Debbie's going to be doing some courses. So, you know, jump on that.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So, you take care, my darling. Yeah, love you.
Guys. Bye, Debs. Always a pleasure.
Bye.
No lies and no deception. We need to realize